All right, welcome to the Two Sons Podcast. Happy Saturday, everybody. We're recording this on Saturday. We'll see when we end up releasing it. But we're going to cover the end of Bad Batch today.
Yeah, kind of just a summary or our final thoughts on it.
Yeah,
just
a little
we're
recap.
Pretty late.
Yeah, we're
on
pretty
the release
late.
of this.
We've been busy. We have our reasons. Let me just put it to you like this, because Bad Batch was one of your favorite Star Wars shows that they released over the years.
Yeah.
I got a certain amount of enjoyment out of it. I struggle getting up for stuff that like doesn't have like as much galactic scale to
Right.
it when it comes to the storylines. But like, were you happy with how they tied off Bad Batch? Did you enjoy the show?
Yeah.
Like, how will Bad Batch resonate for you as a Star Wars fan?
I think it's going to be a really good watch, like in 5 years with Graham. On some Saturday morning when I had the day off and when he's out of school and when we just want to chill out. You know what I mean? Like that's like literally how I envision us watching Bad Batch, because
It's not as dark.
it's not as dark. It's very palatable. It has real Star Wars content, but it's not like universe moving like what you're talking about. And then overall, I really like Omega's character. Like she's one of my top characters. I just really enjoyed watching her grow up, and it was really cool to see.
She becomes such a badass
She
over the
does.
course of the show. It's like at the end when she
Yeah.
rescues those kids, and who's the doctor that turns to the good side at the end?
Oh,
she's also a clone, wasn't she?
she's a clone. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
I
gosh,
can't
why
remember her
I-
name.
Yeah.
But so she ends up rescuing the kids, and then Omega just turns around like, I got to go back in there and save my guys.
Yeah.
And it's like there's this unrelenting loyalty with the what do they refer to themselves as?
Clone Force 99.
Clone Force 99, yeah. They just do they have this like unwavering loyalty for each other that just kind of like spans the entirety of the show. And like I thought one of the coolest parts of the show that I appreciated was because I didn't love everything about the end. Like it bothers me that they didn't just tell us what Project Necromancer was.
There could have been so much more that they could have revealed about Project Necromancer.
Yeah.
Even though we kind of know what it is, right?
We kind of do,
but like I feel like there's so many unknowns to the inner workings of it.
Well, and what bothered me specifically is like they're like, this is of vital importance to the Emperor,
Right.
And then like Tarkin rolls in and he's like, all right, pack up shops and all the funds to Stardust, and you're like, what? Like
Dude, that's Tarkin though.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Tarkin's like, I'll explain it to you. Tarkin, like, they don't ever do this in Star Wars, except for in that one Thrawn book, the third Thrawn book, where we're finally like, the Emperor's like, this bickering is annoying me or whatever.
Right.
But like, we never actually like. Palpatine like flexes his muscles on his subordinates at various points, like he does it to Thrawn, he does
Yeah.
it to Vader. I hope he does some ass kicking to Tarkin behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah, I
because like
hope
Tarkin
so.
is such like he's just such an arrogant like
He's evil.
prick. And
Yes,
like,
he is.
Yeah, and like he gets like I just want to be like I want him to like go back to Coruscant and be like, by the way, I shut down Project Necromancer.
And he's like, what?
All of a sudden he's like,
yeah. So let's get that up and running again. Dr. Hemlock though was failing at it. He couldn't get it done, and I was actually very satisfied too that Dr. Hemlock died. That was pretty cool.
Dr.
And
Hemlock had it coming. He was a jerk.
The way that
Omega
he
just
got killed, I know.
stabbed
The
him.
way that he got killed was cool.
And Crosshair
because-
hit a shot.
Exactly. Crosshair hit a shot
With his left hand,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which I thought was cool.
It was really cool too because we were talking about Omega growing up, right? And Hunter and Crosshair are like at the end of that bridge or whatever it was, elevated walkway.
Yeah. Every Star Wars landing pad, it's like
I
the
know.
landing pad, the facility, and then it's like a very long,
Yeah,
skinny pathway with no guardrail.
Yeah, none. That's a rule. But it's cool because Omega's there, and then Hunter goes, just take the shot. Like Omega knows what to do, or Omega do something along.
Yeah,
that
there was
lines
like
of,
a trust element there.
Yeah, there's where Hunter and crew knew that they had trained Omega so well that they knew exactly what she was going to do, and sure enough, she did it. And then Hemlock gets killed by Crosshair, which was really cool. The other thing that I really liked about it were the Shadow Assassins. Those were
The
dope.
Shadow Assassins were really cool. The to tie back to what I was trying to say though, like I appreciated a lot of stuff about the end of the show. Some of the stuff frustrated me. One of the things that I liked though is it made sense to me that Omega would fight for the rebellion.
Yes.
It just makes perfect sense. Like she had very much like she was very much like a fighter. That was what she was born to do. One of the things that I think that Star Wars has done a really good job of, and like I think gets glossed over sometimes when we're talking about like the innocence of a child. But like many children, even in the world today, don't get to grow up in an innocent life.
True.
Like they're growing up in war, they're growing up in conflict and turmoil and strife and poverty and all those different things. And like Ahsoka and Omega are like two really fascinating characters in the sense that like as children they basically were fighting a war.
Yeah.
And so like
True.
their entire identity is tied up in like being a fighter, and it makes sense. Like she's not
not being evil because of it.
And not being evil because of it, like weathering through it. I mean, Anakin was like that too. Like Anakin fought basically as a teenager, through the Clone Wars.
Yeah,
I think he was
a
what
slave,
16. I think he was like 16 when. Yeah, and he was a slave when he was a kid. But like I think he was 16 when when Attack of the Clones happens, if I remember correctly. Wow. He's like super young. It's something like young like that. So like they're. I just found that fascinating because like they all go to like retire on this planet, right? And even the clones are like retiring because obviously they age really fast. But Omega's just like spunky, like I'm grown now, I'm ready to fight. And she's like, I'm leaving, I'm taking the ship, I'm going to do this. Like, and of course the clones let her go, but they're like, we need to protect you. And she's like, I don't need protecting anymore. I liked that scene. I thought that was cool. Like kind of a cool example of character development for sure.
Totally agree. And I like that they showed Omega just like a little bit older, right? Mm. That was really neat to see her like fully grown. Mm. Yeah.
So those clones that got released that had like the blue on their ears, are those just commandos or like did they have force sensitivity? Like I couldn't tell what they were trying to get at with that. At the very end when they came out of like the coffins, it was like Hemlock released them. And they had like blue lights on the side of their helmets.
How am I not?
I'm surprised you don't remember that. Remember, it's on that scene.
Ago.
It's on that scene where like the poisonous gas gets released from the pedestal down on the rebellion.
Yeah.
Because like all those other clowns are like trying to fight their way into there, but then the poison gas gets released. But up top, it's like Hunter and Wrecker, and they're fighting against those like clones that like come out of those like coffin things. Or cryo chambers or whatever.
I don't know. Tell us in the comments.
Yeah, I think they might have just been those like commandos, but yeah, they were kind of funky looking. Definitely lots of repeated efforts by the Empire.
They weren't just like other shadow assassins.
They might have been other.
Yeah,
assassins.
I think that's what they were. I think
I had a feeling like, but once again, I kept waiting for some grand reveal surrounding the Project Necromancer, and I'm like, is this going to be the grand reveal? Is Hemlock going to be like, these dudes can choke you with the Force or something like that? Like I kept waiting for something like that to happen. It just never happened.
I know, because you're right. Because like that's what we thought that the whole entire Bad Batch was going to be about, right? Mm-hmm. It was like this huge reveal of like Project Necromancer, and then it was going to make sense, in the context of episodes 7, 8, and 9 of the movies, and then it just didn't really.
Well, and remember season 2, like the Emperor specifically like pulls. Remember that scene where he does the speech at the Senate. I can't remember exactly what he does, but he kind of flips the script and kind of turns the narrative in his direction.
Right.
Like most of the show, in terms of the major plot through line, focused on that plan. And so it was just really fascinating to me that they didn't like develop that. But I enjoyed Bad Batch. I thought the effort they put into some of like the landscapes and and just the graphics in general, like
Agreed.
It's one of those ones where it was an animation, but it was like an animation where someone took great pride in like making it very, very detailed and Star Wars and cool. But like to your point, I think it'd be a great like show for early Graham to watch because like it's easy to watch. It's light. It's not overly dark. I'd enjoyed it.
The last part too is each member of Clone Force 99 were incredibly unique and gifted in their own ways, and then it promoted the idea of like using your gifts.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Like Hunter is a really unique character. Obviously, Wrecker is a really unique character, but then even Echo and Tech, like all of them are really, really interesting. Crosshair, like just a really interesting group of guys.
They did a good job of making it like seem for good, like between Crosshair getting his arm cut off, between like Wrecker had all those wounds that he suffered, and Wrecker was beat to shit, like
constantly
Wrecker
getting
was
his
beat
ass
to shit
kicked
by the end, like a Hunter's like got like at one point that dude's like just jamming the electro staff into his chest, like
yeah, I know they took some hits, right?
Yeah, it was tough.
Obviously, Tech passes away too.
Yeah, Tech dies.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah, it was a good show. I enjoyed it. I'm excited though that we're transitioning to a more in depth, like major plot focus type of story in the Acolyte.
Totally ready.
Any more thoughts on Bad Batch before we get on?
No, man, that was it.
All right, guys, that's all we have for today. We'll be back with a deep dive reaction and summary of Revan. We will see you guys then.
Thanks a lot.